Getting through security, maybe a little easier with kind of a twist. The TSA, Transportation Security Administration, Customs and Border Protection, and also individual airlines are testing out facial recognition technology. And the idea is to speed up the security checks. Jacqui Heinrich's out at JFK Airport here in New York. And JetBlue's already using this new technology, Jacqui?
JetBlue, United, a couple of other airlines actually at 19 airports around the country so far. Right now it is only being used at the gates for international flights and it is optional, but TSA wants to expand that to all flights eventually, even domestic flights, and that's causing some privacy concerns. The process is pretty simple. Rather than showing your passport and a ticket at the gate, you smile for a photo, and Customs and Border Protection sends that image to a cloud where it matches it with a picture of you they already have, typically from your passport. CBP says it deletes pictures of U.S. citizens in 12 hours, but images of some aliens can be held up to 14 days, and they haven't outright said they will never share that data with other federal agencies, writing that that's up in the air. The only authorized CBP personnel and authorized representatives of approved CBP partners will have access to the collection device, and only CBP staff and cloud service provider personnel may have access to the database, not directly answering whether in the future it could be shared with federal agencies. The ACLU says that there needs to be laws limiting the technology.
Congress has never clearly authorized the TSA to use this technology, and it's simply not ready for airport use. We haven't debated the privacy concerns, and frankly, we don't even understand what the agency wants to do and how they'll be storing and using this data.
CBP says it is the fastest way to keep people safe. It has a 97% match rate, and it's already helped them keep people out who are posing as someone else. 173 people on land at the U.S. border and 7 people at airports.
So you mentioned privacy a lot in your report. So what if someone's like, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'm going to opt out. What happens to those people?
So you can opt out, and even the airlines have said that that will slow things down. The ACLU taking a little bit of issue with that and saying that that could penalize people for wanting their privacy by slowing them down. But their bigger concern is that people aren't outright being shown how to opt out. It actually took me a minute to find this information on CBP's website. In the privacy section, there's a footnote that says travelers who don't wish to participate can notify a CBP officer or the airline to seek alternative means of verifying their identity. But as you can see, it is difficult to find there, not immediately apparent. We'll see, of course, when they roll it out with TSA if there are big signs everywhere if that happens.
Yeah, I was looking at that screen. That's one of those that none of us read, and we hit agree. We have no idea what we're agreeing to.
Right.
So, Jacqui, thanks. Jacqui Heinrich at JFK.
So here to react to all of this is Mike Boyd, aviation analyst and Boyd Group International president. So it's interesting that we're having this conversation right now. We're going to talk in a second about that worker in Miami who is tampering with the airplane, and they're now thinking that he might be a member of ISIS. At the same time, we're asking about that and saying, how could this guy get through and how could he be near an airplane? We're also questioning whether or not we should be letting CBP use facial recognition software at the airport. Does that make sense? Do we want to be safe or not? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's two separate issues here. The facial recognition, I got some real problems with that. Just like the ACLU said, there's no control over it. I don't know if it's any faster or not than looking at a piece of paper or running a code through something. I think we need to look at it a little bit more before we go into this willy-nilly. I know airlines like it and all the rest of it, but I've got to question whether or not we can control it, and that question has not been answered. So I would say that goes out the door.
What do you mean by control it, though? I mean, where would it go? You have to kind of assume at this point in time, I mean, your face is everywhere. Our biometrics are being stored all over the place. Apple admitted that they were doing it in their stores. They say it's to help. It's just one of those things that's kind of going. I mean, what do you mean that we have to control it? It's already out of control.
Well, it's exactly right. What do we do with that? What can they do with that information? As you just pointed out, they haven't said they won't share it with other people. I don't think someone going to Buffalo, New York needs to worry about whether his face is going to get shared on several websites across the government. So I think it needs a lot more scrutiny before we proceed with this. I am concerned about it.
While we're on the topic of airline safety, we wanted to get your take on the story I was just talking about, that ex-American Airlines mechanic accused of sabotaging the airline, shared violent ISIS videos, expressed support for the terror group, and has a brother in Iraq who might be linked to ISIS. There are conflicting reports on this, and this is according to federal prosecutors. What do you think about this situation?
Well, let's put it in context. I mean, only the shadow knows what evil lies in the hearts of men. American Airlines doesn't, and the Transport Workers Union doesn't either. This guy's been there since 1988 without any material problems. But then again, the hijackers on 9/11 had been in the country a long time as well. So it's one of those things where it just sort of pops up, and it's not something you can say, how did he get near an airplane? He was a mechanic, a licensed A&P mechanic. He's been on payroll for 30-some years. Why wouldn't he be near an airplane?
So do you not believe, I mean, do you think that maybe they have the story incorrect? Did his original story where he said he was trying to disable the plane so that he could make more overtime money, did that make more sense to you?
Well, either way it goes, the fact is we don't know. There was no way of the company knowing or anybody else knowing that he was going to do this. I don't buy this stuff where he says he didn't, the airplane could not be damaged. I understand his lawyer said this didn't put anybody at risk. That is malarkey. So the guy did put 150 people at risk. Yeah, I mean, the guy should go to jail, period, end of discussion. But why he did it isn't clear. But with this background they've now found, that's another whole smoke.
All right. Michael Boyd, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.